It is Monday, July 22nd, 2024, in the Elkhorn Area High School auditorium, and it is 6:44 p.m. And I would like to start the meeting by saying a pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mr. Tava, would you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Andre. Here. Mr. Gayhart. Aaron Gordon. Mrs. Ingersoll. Here. Mrs. Costa. Here. Mrs. Redford.
Here.
Mr. Scarlett. Here.
The meeting tonight has been noticed for state statutes, and we're going to move on to the community participation portion of the evening. I do have a number of people who filled out cards that would like to speak. I'm just going to read a statement. If you have not registered, would you please fill out your name and at the registration in the back so that we can have a record of you being here. When you come up to speak, if you would state your name and if you are an Elkhorn resident or a parent or employee. And then also, I would like to say that prior to making a statement, please be aware that each speaker bears the personal risk if anything they say during community participation of the school board meeting is defamatory, slanderous, or otherwise harmful to another individual. With that being said, the first person up is going to be, oh, do we have a microphone for them?
The one outside.
Oh, there we go. First person up is going to be Ellen Holly. You have 3 minutes in which to speak.
Good evening. I would like to recommend that the school board support the proposed referendum. Despite having a state sizable budget surplus that the governor would partially like to fund education, our current legislature refuses to release such funds. This forces school districts such as ours to bring a referendum to the voters. Our district would look very different if a proposed referendum is not passed. One only has to look at the results of pass-failed referenda in the Delavan Darien School District, and most recently, the Burlington Area School District. The school board will need to make some difficult decisions, and I don't envy that. It's a hard place to be. Possible changes to our school district may include, but may not be limited to, significant increases in class sizes, changes in transportation routing, program reductions to classroom and extracurricular programs, centralized schools instead of neighborhood schools. As we all know, a healthy public school is the heart of a vibrant community. I would ask if the board follow the recommendations of the ad hoc committee, including the $1.25 million budget reduction, which is reflected in the current budget, consider phased-in operation, paying off the long-term debt, maintaining fiscal liquidity. I appreciate your consideration and your service to the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up is Mr. Henderson, and then on deck will be Esther Weitzel.
Resident of the school district, and Ellen gave the details, but I wanted to commend the school for having an ad hoc committee that really did take the time to figure out what to do this year and making the budget cuts that we've already done. So we get on to a referendum. I am very concerned about the school funding in the future. I am a candidate for Assembly District 31, which includes Elkhorn. One of my platforms is to work to get the school funding back to the public school funding back to reforms. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Esther Weitzel.
Thank you very much. I wanted to thank our school board also for having the ad hoc committee and recommending the school referendum. I think that schools that are strong benefit the rest of the community. Strong schools create strong communities. They increase, by having a strong school district, it increases your home values. It increases community employment levels in an area where there are strong school districts. Strong school districts also increase the safety of our community. So I highly recommend listening to the ad hoc committee's recommendation, and I support Brandon wholeheartedly.
Thank you very much. Mr. Devin Gap is next.
Devin Gap, I'm the Elkhorn resident and a parent of children who go to school district here. First of all, it's nice to see you guys all again. Kyle, congratulations on your election win. I apologize for not being here recently. I took some vacation time and decided to come back here during this meeting. That being said, as of this moment, right time, I am against the referendum. And I will remain continuing to be against the referendum until we can start to see some of these additional cuts that we happen. Up on the meeting that we had earlier with Bill and also with Kevin, we saw 0 administrative positions cut. None. I see teachers being cut, teacher positions being cut, which is sad. But ultimately, an administrative position at $120,000 a year plus benefits should be looked at, not just teacher cutting category teachers. I understand that there are, the same group of 4 individuals that constantly come to these meetings, and they're always going to constantly just give you the same spiel about how they support this. But those 4 individuals do not represent the 4,000 individuals you're going to need if they pass the referendum. Without these cuts being made, which you guys have done a fantastic job of starting, okay? Without these cuts being made, I will be the face of the no candidate. I will personally finance the no candidate to make sure it does not pass if these cuts are not made. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is Brenda Johnson.
Hello, I'm Brenda Johnson. I'm a student in the district, a resident, and once upon a time as a teacher here in this district and several others nearby. I am so proud of our district's genuine collaborative approach towards fiscal responsibility, and it's a combination of that level of responsibility with a forward-thinking approach. Investments that our district has made in things like the Agility Center, the improved special education facilities, and generally district buildings show that our district is not going to pinch pennies to save. We are looking towards the future and we're making sure we continue to project our growth and success. Frugality is important, and Elkhorn remains a regional leader providing high quality education within that carefully maintained budget that I know Bill spends hours and hours a day. We're so grateful to have them here. Districts that look only for pennies to save often find themselves having trouble over the long term. Former teacher in this and other districts, and while parents and kiddos in a variety of different districts, I've seen the results of districts that decide, well, we're going to save $1,000 by stopping paper budgets. We're not going to refill the paper copiers. We're not providing more basketballs. This doesn't save a district that has $45 million budget from any fiscal issues. All it does is project an image that the district isn't good. And a message like that does not help our district continue to leader in attracting open enrollment and allowing kids to have a variety of programs that they can pursue their successful futures. The community does an amazing job supporting this district, and all are so blessed to have groups like the PTO, multiple booster spots at the Elkhorn High School, the Scholarship Foundation, the Elks Foundation, and you have robust participation in things like the recent ad hoc fiscal committee. Requested and received active support in those ongoing difficult conversations, and we received participation in that review committee. And I urge you to adopt the recommendations, not just the referendum, but also review the budget and to adopt them for the district and the people of your community.
Thank you, and I apologize for pronouncing your last name incorrectly. Okay, that is all of the comments that I received, comment cards, and so we will move on to the approval of the school board minutes from the meeting July 8th. Does anybody have any comments about it or anything that we saw that needed to be changed? Seeing that, I'm looking for a motion to approve the meeting minutes from July 8th.
I make a motion to approve the July 8th, 2024 regular session school board meeting as presented.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the school board meeting minutes from July 8th. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre? Yes. Mr. Gayheart? Yes. Karen Gordon? Mrs. Ingersoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Records? Mr. Scarrow?
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll move on to the general and other fund bills. Mr. Turin gave us a number of things to look at. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Turin? Line, use the microphone. Sure.
Tank line painter.
Yes.
This is a lease
It
for
is.
$11,000?
Yes.
Why are we not purchasing this?
We
That's
wanted
it.
to test it for a year, the cost for the actual units was over $50,000. And we're looking at sharing the cost with the community service fund as well, so we're splitting it in terms of general fund and then fund 80. The calculation for the actual heat is about $9,000. So we anticipate we're saving about at least a third of that, so there will be some offset savings. And then we're going to track the actual work time involved with this, because it should, in theory, we've been testing this relative to seeing demos of this for a number of years. And now the technology's got to the point where one person can set this up and do a complete athletic field. Now we can re-report.
It's a roll
Oh, I understand what it was. I was just surprised at the cost and what it was for.
Is it something that we could look at sharing the cost with another district?
We looked at that option. Quantico is one of the districts that we looked at, but they're using it so often that it just wasn't viable. But if we find that this is something that really works out well, I think that would be a great time to investigate a share rate.
How often do we have to meet the field? Are we just talking the football field, or are we talking soccer fields and all the fields?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Use of weather does have an impact, especially this year.
All right. Any other questions? Okay.
I had another as well, Compass Care. Oh, I'm sorry, no, wrong one. I don't know how to phrase it. Keep getting kid. There you go, pick my kid, there you go, yeah.
Yeah, Pick My Kid is an app that we contracted with when, really at the onset of COVID. And that was done in order to avoid, prior to that, the bells were dismissed, and we just sending all the kids out front. Pick the kids up, which I did receive a few complaints and or concerns, and to be frank, really, all the concerns from people who weren't traditionally from Alcorn, who came from other communities, having the concern of, well, it's the parent or the grandchild. So what the software is for all the elementary schools, and the parents are assigned the code. They pull in and plug in the code of this thing. That's what Pick My Kid is. The elementary schools work so well, and it provides that added layer of safety and security for the kids. Then fascinating story because we weren't here when we first started with it. The founder of Pick My Kid was a software developer. He went to pick his kid up in Florida, picked his kid up, started driving down the road, turned, looked at the back seat, and it wasn't his kid. And he thought, holy smokes, this is crazy. Took the kid back, got his own kid, and went and developed the.
Any other questions? Seeing none, looking for a motion to approve the general and other fund bills.
I move to approve the general and other fund bills of July 22nd, 2024, check numbers 152-636, 215-2724, wire numbers 065 to 072, ACH number 006 to 07, and combined amount of $427,735.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the general and other fund bills of July 22nd, 2024, check numbers 152-636 to 152-724, wire number 065 to 072, and ACH number 006 to 027, and the combined amount of $427,735.82 as presented. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Andre? Mr. Gayheart? Eric Gordon? Mrs. Ingersoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Costa?
Yes.
Mrs. Redmond? Yes. Mr. Scarrow?
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, moving on to the referendum presentation. Voted and carried.
All right. I want to thank Mr. Truman for putting this lengthy slideshow together. It's short and concise, but it does do a great job outlining how we've gotten to this point. I know we've had several presentations on it. But we did want to share, we shared this with the staff as well, that bottom line up front, that like most districts around the state, we are facing a fiscal cliff, which is directly related to that cessation of the state providing revenue limit increases aligned with inflation. The impact of that fiscal cliff has varied from district to district. There's a lot of factors that go into that, which Bill went through in the presentation. What made this a fiscal cliff or made it worse was that during our past 2 years of the highest inflation in recent history, the state froze revenue limits at 0%. And that created a significant gap between local school funding and what the costs were, just the operating costs without even increasing those. The reason why the fiscal cliff wasn't immediate was because the federal government had provided ESSER funds that backfilled that gap. That's why the state did a 0% increase, because they knew there were federal dollars, and it was a way to force the schools to use the federal dollars. In speaking with local legislators, they said that the primary reason for that was they were concerned, going back to the QZAB financial stimulus package, back around the housing market crash, that schools increased their spending during that time frame that led to more school referendums. So that was the rationale that I was given by the legislature. The district has been fiscally responsible. We have cut and grown revenue. I say for over a decade. This has really been the mode that schools have had to be in since the last biennium budget under Governor Boyle. That's when they stopped aligning the revenue limits to the inflation rate. We did include a hyperlink of the list of cost savings going back to 2014-15. And again, we used two strategies along the way. One was to increase revenue while also decreasing expenditures. And so that's why you'll see in this the open enrollment calculation from year to year, and our innovative programming and our deliberate targeting of that to help us push this fiscal cliff down the road, has been very effective, but it has gotten to the point where it's just not sustainable to close that gap. For example, with the current shortfall that we're seeing, we would need to add 340 open enrolled students in 1 year to fill that. But it is at the point where it does make up 13% of our budget. It's approximately a $7 million savings to our local residents, in which we receive revenue from outside school districts to help us fund. This is linked in the district presentation that everyone will look at. In 24-25, Bill reviewed that. We are following the ad hoc committee's recommendation of $1.25 million in cuts. Included in that was what was considered an administrative position. So revenue off the hook. The community resiliency coordinator position was one that was eliminated from the district budget. The district spends well below the state average on a per pupil basis and is amongst the lowest funded districts in the entire state. I believe when we say lowest funded, we're in the close to that number out of 421 school districts. So we're in the very lowest single digit percentile on that. Without a referendum, the district will adjust. I've seen, comments along those lines that, hey, I live on a budget, you have to adjust it. I absolutely do not disagree with that assessment. Going to a referendum is giving the community an opportunity and an option to help direct how they would like the school to handle that. What we do know is when we're looking at the fiscal cliff and the amount of shortfall that we're looking at without a referendum, we are going to see increased class sizes, reduced administrative positions, reduced transportation and services. And at the end of the day, all those positions circle around our most critical asset, which is our teachers, and having them in a position where they can do their job and properly support the students. And that is what is at stake. This is a issue of the timeline related to this. It's been over a year waiting. We did have the April 2023 operational referendum, which was on the ballot. And this referendum and what's being proposed to the board is structured very differently from that. The tax impact, thankfully, is significantly less than what that original proposal did. And as a result of that failed referendum, the school board formed the ad hoc committee, or the Financial Stability Ad Hoc Advisory Committee, which was made up of over 20 stakeholders, including community members, teachers, staff, administrators, board, and 2 board members. The Financial Stability Ad Hoc Advisory Committee presented their recommendations to the school board in December of 2023. The school board at that time had a decision to make whether to go to follow that recommendation and look at a spring referendum, which the board felt there wasn't timely, but there wasn't enough time to prepare and provide effective communication to the community. And so that's why that was not, moved forward at that point. The district hosted a budget retreat for school board members, also for the public, is always welcome to that. We had information in the April 2024 community connection that went out to all resident households of the school district related to the finances and what we're looking at. We looked for feedback from the community in the community survey, which was also designed to provide information related to what we were looking at in May of 2024. And then we presented the findings of the community survey to the board in June. The board also approved the preliminary 2024-2025 budget, and we're now at this point where we are considering additional questions that we presented before.
Okay, so now we are, I guess, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Tetlock or Mr. Sherwin? Any other, and we've seen this information a lot, but do you have any other things that you want to ask questions on before we move on to looking at the resolution? Okay, if not, then, we need to approve, right? Is that what we're doing now? We're just reading it.
No, it is a resolution authorizing the school
Yeah.
district budget to exceed the revenue limit. There are two resolutions that you can to move forward.
Right, so the first one is the resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed revenue limit for recurring purposes. And yes, looking for a motion.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed the revenue limit for recurring purposes as presented.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed revenue limit for recurring purposes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Andre. Mr. Gayheart.
Yes.
Mayor Gordon. Mrs. Ingersoll.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa.
Yes.
Mrs. Reckles.
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, the second resolution is a resolution providing for a referendum election on the question of the approval of a resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed revenue limit for recurring purposes. We've all read through this. I think this is the resolution that allows us to put it on the ballot, correct? Yeah. So looking for a motion to approve.
I move to approve the resolution providing for a referendum election on the question of the approval of a resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed revenue limit for recurring purposes as presented.
Is there a second?
Adam is,
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution providing for a referendum election on the question of the approval of a resolution authorizing the school district budget to exceed revenue limit for recurring purposes as presented. Roll call, please.
Mr. Andre.
Yes.
Mr. Gayheart. Mayor Gordon.
Yes.
Mrs. Ingersoll.
Yes.
Mrs. Costa. Mrs. Reckles.
Yes.
Mr. Scarrow.
Yes.
Okay. It's in the hands of the voters. Which is where it should be. Okay, next on the agenda is the first reading of Act 95, which is the Wisconsin Guaranteed Tiebreaker Policy. We reviewed this in policy of the last policy meeting and moved it forward for approval. This is just a first reading.
Act 95 was passed this past legislative session. It guarantees that any student in the top 5% in the school district graduating class or the high school graduating class is guaranteed admittance into UW Madison. Any student in the top 10% of the graduating class based on GPA is automatically admitted into their choice of a University of Wisconsin system university. With that, you are only allowed to use grade point average, which we factor in our recognition of students, just so everybody's aware, a LAUI system, which factors in the rigor of the courses based on what the college course or not. And then we multiply that by GPA. That's not allowed in this process, it's just straight GPA. So in what each school district has the choice of is creating the tiebreaker scenario. What the high school recommended to the policy committee, once we brought forward for the first reading, is that if there's a tie exists, that the GPA will be extended to 5 decimal places, and the recalculated scores will be compared, assuming that the higher value at the 5th decimal place will rank higher. If they're still tied, the scores then assume that the higher honor points will break the tie. Then that will fail. Which is legally allowable. If the school lacks honor points, which the College and Career Academy does not use an honor point and lobby system, then they'll extend it to 6 decimal places.
If anybody has any objections to it or likes a different idea of how to do the tiebreaker policy, please let Mr. Chadwick know before the next meeting.
Just a few questions. One, we don't do honor points at all.
We do honor points at the high school and at options. We don't do honor points at CCA. As it relates to Act 95, no honor points are calculated. Top 5% or top 10%.
Okay, when you're talking grade point average, we have 5-point grade point average, right?
No, just a straight 4.0.
Okay, so,
Years ago, we had a weighted system where instead of the honor point, they could earn 5.0 on a. We moved away from that. Wait for that before I have the lottery system that I got. Like 2 months before.
have they had any problems?
No, in regards to. We've never, no, not at this point. We would have, the other system that is calculated early on GPA average is the Wisconsin Scholarship, the Excellence Scholarship. And there are times where the valedictorian or the salutatorian receive that scholarship, which is for the in-state tuition, a certain dollar amount per year. It goes to the student with the highest GPA. And we've been training that for senior year. And so that can vary, but that also has to go to for senior year. No, the only thing I would recommend is it's unlikely to happen, but I would probably add in a third tie resolution point toss. Because theoretically, you could have 2 students type of honor points too. At some point, we will come on determination. Same as we at CCA, going to 6 decimal places and we calculate it out 1 more decimal place. It's still just knowing how mathematics works on those grades. If it's tied at 5, it's probably 10. We may put is there a choice on that? We can either do a lottery with the name drawn or. That's true. There we go, lottery.
Good point.
Names will be drawn. We'll add that in the agenda.
Okay. All right, moving on to the personnel recommendation sheet.
Right, yep, we're in the hiring season. It is almost wrapped up. There are, certain pieces that are not completed yet. Most of our staff and positions are filled that we are going to fill this year. We have a transfer of Mrs. Fettig to the elementary position Wiley Iverson was in over at Jackson School. And this is a position Taylor's transferring from a K-5 social worker position. We're going to hold that position open is what we'll call it, not fill it for the time being, and see if we can handle the duties and the responsibilities amongst the team. That was one of the attrition areas that wasn't calculated at this time, but likely will be in the future. We have an appointment of Sadie Anderson as a reading specialist at West Side, Leslie Elgine as a 4th grade teacher at Tibbetts, Lindsay Williams as a middle school math teacher, Austin Delgado as a middle school math teacher, Rebecca Pinitomo is coming back to us. She was a middle school guidance counselor, and she's coming back to us to look at options as a student success and outreach coordinator. This is a grant funded position for the options charter school grant of $1 million. The appointment of Kim Green as a school psychologist at Options, Teresa Fisher as a administrative accounting assistant, Lisa Christensen as a Jackson Health Aide. Brandon, we have some resignations. Brandon Sanko as high school assistant coach, Luke Cummings resigning as boys soccer assistant coach, and then we have some appointments. Nick Rockweiler as a football assistant coach, Eric Kern as a football assistant coach, Eric Jordalis as a boys soccer assistant coach, Ryan Radke as a boys soccer assistant coach, Ryan Stisha as a cheerleading assistant coach, Taylor Mayer as a cross-country assistant coach, Tracy Lockwood as a cross-country assistant coach, and Will Burnell as a cross-country assistant. And George Birchfield as a high school lacrosse assistant coach. And I would just, maybe because there was a kind of a budgetary theme this evening, the math department at the high school with the administration made a recommendation to hold open position at the high school as well to do overloads and all that. So there will be at least budgetary savings this year from that we call open, because assuming the school needs to go a positive light, we feel that we should go right. What's that? That was Jacob Kuhlman's position. Oh, no, that was not included in that calculation either. So those are two additional budgetary savings. Kind of getting, looking to see if we can make that work, and if so, then that would be kind of a head start on the $500,000.
Any questions on any of these appointments or resignations? Seeing none, then looking for a motion to approve the personnel recommendation sheet.
I move to approve the personnel recommendation sheet for July 22nd, 2024, including the employment contracts, condition of contract, background check, and the district mandated drug screening as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the personnel recommendation sheet for July 22nd, 2024, including the employment contracts, condition of not passing the background check, and district mandated drug screening. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. There are no.
Yeah, there are no school gifts this evening, and the reason why we do leave it on the agenda is in case we get a plan.
Sure.
Yeah. And as far as announcements, I just want to make note that there is a personnel committee meeting on the 5th of August. The next school board meeting is not until August 12th.
Yeah, I noticed
Not
that.
until
But
yeah, so we actually have 2 Mondays in between. Sorry about that.
Unless we specifically change it, that board meetings are always the second. Did you want to address the campaign practice letter that was attached to the minutes? The board. It was from Quarles. I'll just say everybody should read it. If click on that hyperlink, read through it, and understand what you can, what you're allowed to say.
Oh, okay, yes, I apologize.
Regarding the
I
rough
have
draft.
my board notes in front of me. Yes, there's a link to Quarles and Brady that they provided very good guidance. I think it's a 6-page letter that speaks to school board members' roles and responsibilities as it pertains to referendums. as well as school employees and administrators. And it also gives a good explanation as why it varies. And in short, as school board members, you have your First Amendment rights. You can speak to the referendum in any way, shape, or form which you would like. Employees may also do the same, just not during their work time. With the exception of administrators who may be viewed by the community as always being on the clock, such as myself. My role is providing factual information. So, hey, that's a quick synopsis and summary of that. And anything anyone else would like to add to any of that?
I think that's all.
All right, thank you.
All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.